Welcome back. On today's video, we're talking about 10-year-old cars and reliability. So if you watch this channel at all, you'll know that we're not a fan of buying brand new cars in most cases. Sure, there are some rare instances where it probably makes sense, but for most people, buying a used car makes better sense financially. So I wanted to jump into a couple of different things. The first thing is, when you're doing any type of research, if you're looking around at the different websites showing what the reliability of cars is, you need to take it with a grain of salt, because a lot of these websites seem to have some sort of a program where they're trying to give kudos to every single car manufacturer, and that's not what we want. What we want is the most reliable car. So, a little disclaimer. As you're going through this video and you're looking at these types of cars, every car year has different reliability rankings. So use this video as a tool, not a recommendation. This is sharing my research. Use it as a tool to find out what kind of car or what brand you may want to look at. And when you're looking at cars, look up that specific vehicle year and model's reliability. Also, different models have different types of engines and options. So different engines may have some reliability differences as well. For example, the year of truck that I bought, I have a Toyota Tundra. That year has a 4-liter, a 4.6 liter, and a 5.7 liter. Learning the differences between each motor can be important to make sure that you get the most reliable vehicle and the vehicle spec'd for what you want to do. That way you have fewer auto bills, hopefully, fewer repair bills. So let's jump right in. The first article I looked at was called GuideAutoWeb.com, and this was a look at the 5 to 10-year-old vehicle rankings according to Consumer Reports. And as we go through, what this does is it gives us a good show of the brands. It doesn't actually go into models, but this shows the best brands, the most reliable brands over the last 5 to 10 years. And it's not really a surprise when you get down into it. Number 1, Lexus. Number 2, Toyota. And you see these two interchanged. That's not really a surprise. Lexus is owned by Toyota. Mazda is kind of not really a sleeper, but a lesser known company in the United States. Yes, there's a lot of Mazdas, but people don't really look at that as a Japanese automaker, and yet it is. Then we get into Acura and Honda. Again, no surprise there, Acura is owned by Honda, and a lot of cars between those two brands are very, very similar, with Acura being a higher end model. Buick, BMW. Buick is a GM car. Yes, they have some good models. BMW, a caveat for people that don't know, BMWs generally can be very reliable. However, you need to maintain them more frequently. Just like a Mercedes. If you keep up on the maintenance, if you're following a maintenance schedule, repairing the parts that they're telling you to as you go, the reliability increases. If you drive it like a Japanese vehicle where you just drive it until something goes wrong, the reliability, in my experience, goes down significantly. Subaru has some great vehicles. People love the traction. They are very stable cars when I've driven them. The maintenance on those is a little bit different, and the engines are built different in a lot of those vehicles. So if you know Subarus and know how to work on them, my understanding is they can be great, but they don't necessarily handle or act the same over time as far as reliability as maybe a Toyota or a Honda, in my experience. Nissan's that's one that really doesn't get as much credit in some cases as I feel that it should, although in recent years I've heard credit quality is dwindling. Nissan has historically been a great car. The reliability has been phenomenal for the Nissan vehicles that I have been part of, that I've owned, or that I've been associated with. However, it seems like their standards have not been maintained necessarily, and so there may be a little bit of slippage among the Nissans. And Mercedes, as I mentioned with BMWs, Mercedes can last a very long time and be great cars. However, you do have to keep up on the maintenance. You need to do the scheduled maintenance. You cannot abuse them as much, because historically, if you don't keep up on the maintenance, they won't be as reliable. So the next tab I wanted to look at was this website called allegra.co.uk. And they did a survey of 25,000 car owners, 30 brands, 400 different models. They went through a lot of statistics and found what they found to be the most reliable brands and cars. So looking through the brands that they came up with, Suzuki surprisingly came out on top. That was a number I did not expect. I don't know much about the Suzuki vehicles. I know some people, especially in the off-roading world, love the Samurai and the Sidekick. But that may be a car to look into. And again, if you're looking at a Suzuki, make sure you're looking into the specific year, make, and model of that car to learn the reliability and dig further into it, into the different options available to that model. Lexus, Toyota, Honda, no surprises there. Kia was a little surprising because Kia started out with very low reliability rankings. Then they went through some great reliability years, it seems, about 10 years ago. And then recently, I've actually heard of a lot of problems. There were some major recalls. So be very careful with that. Mitsubishi has always been a sleeper as far as the reliability rankings. Mitsubishi is another Japanese-owned car company. I believe they are majority owned by Nissan at this point in time. And I've had a couple of Mitsubishi cars, and they have been phenomenal. They are lesser known. They're not the Honda or Toyota, but generally the reliability on the cars that I have owned has been great, and they're very comfortable. They're just a lesser known entity. So I would highly recommend looking at a Mitsubishi, or I would not hesitate to look at a Mitsubishi. But again, look at the year, make, model, and then the options to make sure the one that you are looking at has great reliability. Mazda is a good company. They make some very good cars. They're known for being more zippy, of course, with their Zoom Zoom marketing model. Hyundai is similar to Kia, another Korean-owned or a Korean manufactured car. The more recent ones that were built kind of in that big boom period in COVID seem to have had some fairly significant issues, but other people that I've known that have had some cars, including the Santa Fe, have seen those cars go 200,000+ miles. So the specific vehicle that you are getting as a Hyundai may be worth looking at. Skoda and Cedar are companies that we don't see in the United States, so we won't be talking about those. The bottom 10 most reliable cars. Now, some of these are not available in the United States as well, like the Citroen. We don't see those here generally unless they've been imported. Land Rover, not a surprise there. People know that Land Rovers generally are phenomenal to drive, but they are also not always reliable. Tesla, this one was surprising to see that. Tesla is historically ranked high in consumer ratings. However, it looks like they may have some standards or some concerns as far as quality. So do keep your eye on any specific Tesla that you're looking at buying. Mercedes-Benz, not a surprise there. However, again, Mercedes, BMW, European cars generally have the model of needing to maintain them as you go, and a lot of people in the United States are not used to that. So they will drive it until it breaks down without keeping up on the maintenance. Subaru, what I mentioned earlier on in this video, it depends on which rating you're looking at. A lot of these seem to want to rank some high and some low and include all of the car companies, but I have heard that a lot of Subarus, if people do not keep up on the maintenance again, and if they don't understand how the engine works, you will have some problems with those. Peugeot, we don't see much. Fiat, we do see some in the United States, and yes, that has been a consistent question about their reliability. Jaguar, no question there. Jaguar has always been known for making beautiful cars, very sporty cars, very fun to drive, and always in the shop. Nissan, this one was surprising to see here because Nissans historically have been fairly reliable. This does make me wonder if this was more recent vehicles that they were seeing, but it says the reliability rating is a 77%. Keep in mind though, if you look up here at the top 10, the bottom Hyundai was at 85%, so we're not too far off there. And the Mini, go-kart style driving, very fun to drive on the Minis are. However, it is very well known that the reliability ratings are not there, right up there with the BMWs. So that is Allegra.com's or Allegra.co.uk, their list of the top 10 and bottom 10 most and least reliable cars between 6 to 20 years old. So what I take away from this is, again, yes, there are some models within each of these that are going to be very reliable. Make sure when you are looking at your car that you do research on year, make, model, and options. Jumping over to merchantsauto.com. Merchant Auto put together a list, and again, you're going to see here that there's a lot of different variables. Topping that list was the Chevy Malibu. And they're looking here, and this is top 12 most reliable cars put out in 2023. I want to gloss through this list very quickly because there's also one other that we're going to look at, and this is just going over high level the most reliable cars that they have seen. Chevy Malibu, there are a lot on the road. We have seen some good results from Chevy Malibus. Honda Accords, No surprise there. The Accord is one of the staples in Honda's portfolio, as is the Honda Civic. One side note to put on these cars: the best reliability that I have seen comes out of non-performance cars. So if you're looking at a Civic, you may not want to get the SI unless you understand that because it's a high-performance car, you would expect to have additional work that needs to be done. When you start throwing high performance into an engine, it's harder on the engine and makes it work harder, which can in fact reduce the reliability. Honda CR-V. As far as a small SUV, the Hyundai Elantra, which has been a great car for Hyundai. It seems like there are some years of the Hyundai that do last very, very well. It mentions one person right here who drove her 2013 Hyundai Elantra 1 million miles. That will be an exception, of course, but people that do maintain their cars, fix it as it goes along, you can milk a lot of miles out of those. Kia Optima is just like the Hyundai Sonata as far as the kind of the stable platform that Kia puts out. Kia Sportage is one of their small SUVs that has done very well. The Mazda 3, one of the little zoom cars from Mazda that seems to get around very well. The Subaru Outback, which is one of the original crossover vehicles that does seem to get a lot of attention and do very well in mild off-roading situations. And the stable, the old Toyota Camry. Toyota has had this vehicle around, or this model around, for years and years and years, and it has always done very well, as has the Corolla, the little brother or little sister to the Camry. I'm going to stop there because then we get into the Priuses and other things that have a lot of other moving parts, and jump over to topspeed.com. That discusses their most reliable, let's get up to the top of this article, 10-year-old models, most reliable mid-size sedan. So again, we're going to a specific market segment, but this would apply to most people. And unsurprisingly, the number one most reliable 10-year-old car is the 2014 Toyota Camry. Camry has been very, very stable and has worked very well for millions of people. The 2014 Lexus ES brings in number two. Of course, as we mentioned before, no surprise there because the Lexus ES is going to be related to the Toyota Camry. A very good car. One thing that I have noted about Lexuses, at least the ones that I have owned, is it does have little things that can go wrong, little things that are luxury items, and you've got to keep up on that type of maintenance. So where a Toyota Camry or a Toyota Avalon is a little less luxury, they're still very nice. When you take a step up into the Lexus brand, there may be little nuances that cost more to repair things just because it is more of a luxury brand. So do keep that in mind. Number three, the Lexus GS. GSs are beautiful cars, amazing drives, very smooth, and again, because they're built by Toyota, you can expect great reliability. Number four, the 2014 Mercedes-Benz E-Class. So the E-Class is a step above the C-Class. It's something that does very well. Keep in mind, as I've reiterated a few times during this video, with the Mercedes, you've got to keep up on the maintenance to expect that reliability. Number five, the 2014 Hyundai Sonata. This is in that window where Hyundai has performed very, very well. The Sonata does seem to be one of those platforms that does extremely well, to be extremely reliable, again, if people treat their cars right. Here we go again with the Chevy Malibu. It's one of the few Chevys that you do see come up consistently, and it seems to be a platform that has worked very well for Chevy. Again, keep in mind you need to look up your specific year, make, model, and the options that come with that model, especially the engine and transmission. That could make a big difference. Number seven, the Subaru Legacy. Subaru, of course, with their all-wheel drive platform, gets a lot of attention, especially in markets that may have slick roads at times. I would not use the Subaru Legacy for much off-roading other than maybe a gravel road or a dirt road like this one is on, but they do very well in inclement weather. The 2014 Kia Optima, here we go again with these 10-year-old Kias. Again, a South Korean automaker that does seem to perform fairly well. There were a lot of issues with more recent Kias, if you watch the news at all, with a lot of recalls on those vehicles, but it does seem like this vintage of Kia, specific to the model and the options, can do very well for you. Coming down at number 9, surprisingly at number 9, not higher in the list, is the 2014 Honda Accord, but this has been a very popular, very reliable model for many, many people. Hopping down to number 10, the Nissan Optima. Now, the description of this Optima actually, I feel, is very fitting, where it talks it being the ultimate sleeper. Many people don't like the Nissan Altima. They say that it doesn't do very well. It's ugly. It's not a popular car. However, the people that I have known that have had Altimas have seen those cars go into the high hundreds or over 200,000 miles. So that is something that you can expect. In fact, it actually talks down here about the Altima's life expectancy to be between 200 to 300,000 miles. I would imagine that is if you keep up on the maintenance. You can expect to have many more repairs between that 200 and 300,000 mile point, but it is known, even though people don't like them, as a reliable car. I hope this type of information is helpful to you. If it is, please give us a like down below. If you'd like to see more of this type of content, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you know someone who can benefit from it, please do share. Thanks for being here. We'll see you on the next one.